morning, church. How are we doing? We doing good? Okay, well, welcome to another amazing service. And if you're online, welcome for joining us. Today's going to be really something special. Why don't we just take a moment right now as a church and let's welcome every single person that's actually online, wherever they may be. So, all together, we're going to say, welcome online church. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Welcome online church. Woo, you guys are on fire right there. Okay, I believe that you guys are ready for this word. So I pray that there is an impartation today. See, inspiration and motivation only lasts a moment. And if we keep looking for the motivation in things, our momentum will change during the ups and downs of our life. Have you ever heard someone say this? I'm just not motivated enough to do that. Impartation doesn't feed emotion, but it changes our hearts and it changes the way we actually think. So I want today's message to speak not just to us, but to speak to our soul and give us a boldness to move, to grow, to step out, to take risks, to trust, to love, to dream the impossible, and to believe in the outrageous. If this happens to be your first service joining us, each and every single year we get a word for the year. And this word this year is bold. We are going to be bold. We're trusting for bold things. They'll not just be what we do, but let's make it who we are. By definition, it is brave, fearless, unafraid, courageous, daring. I believe 2024 is our year. And we need to claim it. Chains will, not maybe, not possibly, chains will be broken. We will see miracles. Addictions will cease. Breakthrough and promotion in our life will follow. This year, let's take a leap of faith. In Proverbs 28 verse 1, it says, the wicked run away when no one is chasing them, but the godly are as bold as lions. But the godly are as bold as lions. I think we have a whole room full of lions right now. There's two brothers who dared to dream and pull off the impossible. It was ridiculous and it looked outrageous and it took courage. You see, they wanted to do something that happens over 100,000 times each and every single day. The only thing is they wanted to do it for the very first time all the way back in 1903. And on the 17th of December, 1903, they flung themselves through the air. And the Wright brothers pulled off the impossible and flew for 12 seconds. They changed how the world looks at flying and are seen today as fathers of aviation. Their engineering was so well thought out that the principles are still used in everyday aircrafts today. 6 million, roughly, 6 million people fly somewhere daily because of these two brothers who were bold. Now, hearing that, imagine what we are capable of with God by our side. The potential, the breakthrough is already ours. We just need to step into it. Today, I want to speak to our hearts and stir something inside of us by identifying 4 areas that will help us live boldly. Right after this water break. This is the moment everyone scrambles for pens and papers if they don't have one already, because this is going to be good. Okay, The first one is to be bold, we need vision. To be bold, we need vision. Last week, Mark shared on the vision of this house. He shared the direction we're moving. And it is online. It's on YouTube. You could go listen to it if you haven't listened to it already. And I encourage you to do that because we need vision in our lives to have a boldness. See, it's really hard to be praying for something when we actually don't know what we're praying for. It's not impossible, but let's be honest, it sure makes it a challenge. It's challenging. We get to know where we want to go by checking our internal gauges and ensuring that they are ready. See, a vision starts on the inside. What do we as people see? Where do we want to be? What are we actually trusting for? Our dreams begin internally, and those dreams then serve as fuel to bring them into reality. In Ephesians 4:23, it says, "Let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes." Remember, God's Spirit can renew us and give us the energy and the insight that we require. We need to pray for that renewal so we may not get tired, but rather get excited for what God's going to do. So come on, let's get a vision. Let's have a big vision over our lives. We are believing this year for the impossible. See, the Wright brothers believed that the impossible could be possible, and it fueled their dream to fly. They believed, and because they believed, they went on to achieve. How much more can we, who know that we are not alone and are walking by faith and not by sight, achieve the things that seem to be impossible in our life? As Christians, we know that there are some things that we just cannot do. However, we also know that God could do what we can't do. In Matthew 19, verse 26, it says, Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible. But with God, everything is possible. Every single thing is possible. The Bible is full of miracles, filled with all God's wonders and things He did. It seems impossible. But what seems impossible is made possible through Christ. So let's be bold enough to have an impossibly big vision over our lives. In Genesis 13, 8-9, we're picking up where we read Abraham has an issue, and that issue is with Lot. So they're sharing the same piece of land, and all of a sudden the servants and the slaves and themselves, they're fighting over who's better, and it becomes a bit of a mess. So Abraham says to Lot, okay, listen, this isn't working. Tell you what, you choose half, I'll take the other half. If you go left, then I'll go right. And if you go right, I'll go left. So Lot does what I think most of us would do. He looks at the land, he assesses the land, he checks the soil, and he chooses what he believes is the best piece of land. And he leaves the dry fynbos. Okay? For anyone who's not in South Africa or from South Africa, fynbos is just dry with sticks and twigs, twigs and all that between. But he chooses that, the best land, and leaves that for Abraham. But when we read on, we see that Abraham was blessed. And Abraham prospered despite of. Why? Because God was bigger than what was before him. So God turned the dry and the barren land into lush and plentiful. So it's time to get a bold vision of favor and blessing. The second thing is change our lens. We need to change our lens. See, I wear glasses. I'm wearing glasses right now, but I also wear contacts at times. And if I don't go and get my eyes tested, there will be a moment when I can't see. I need to go and change my lens. Otherwise, I will not see it. When we step out and we pursue our dreams, there is no doubt, none, there is no doubt that we will face, not maybe, not possibly, we will face 101 reasons why this won't work, why it won't come to pass, why we shouldn't move forward. And this could bring doubt, and it will make us freeze and stop our progress. See, we at times could feel like the scouts and the spies that were sent into the promised land. We read that the land was full with milk and honey. There were great treasures in this land. It was filled with prosperity. They were told, this land is yours. You just need to go and you need to claim it. But the people that occupied this land looked like giants. And in Numbers 13:33, it says, we even saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. Next to them, we felt like grasshoppers, and that's what they thought too. When we stare at the obstacles in the way of our vision, our dream, our destination that God has for us, we too may feel like grasshoppers. Our courage can be a speck compared to the job at hand. But if we have faith like Caleb did, we will not only be one to go and talk about the beauty and the promise that he saw, but we'll also remember who made the promise in the first place. If God has told you right now to go, then go. Be bold. Get moving. Take that step forward towards the vision God has given you. Let's declare that we can conquer whatever stands in our way. Fear will not hold us back from what God has already given us. Work hard. Use the gifts that God has put inside of us and rely on God's strength. Let's change our sight. Stop staring at the giants and let's stare at our God. No matter what happens around us, our sight will not waver. We will not blink. He could accomplish what seems impossible. It just takes faith. Even when we work hard, do our best, give our all, it is often still scary. In Hebrews 11 verse 1, it says, faith shows the reality of what is hoped for and is the evidence of things we cannot see. We will feel so much better, each and every single one of us, if we had a safety net. But going after our vision often requires us just to leap in faith. Not everything we trust for is always right in front of us. So we actually need to build our faith and be bold enough to take that leap without that safety net. And that faith is us changing our lens. The third one is we need to be able to identify the steps ahead. As we set our eyes towards our vision, we must actually take a look at what is happening around our lives. That way, we could see the end goal and identify the next step and take it boldly. We can't move when we don't know where we need to place our feet. So, what is our next step? This church is all about next steps because we want you to succeed. We want you to move forward in life. But you need to identify what is your next step. If you don't know, do next steps, do growth steps. What is your next step? What could I do to take a step towards that promotion I'm trusting for? What can I do for that change in my family? What is that next step? The business that I've been dreaming about, the relationships that need work, what is the next step? That addiction that needs to be broken, what is the next step? Maybe that step is just to work hard. Maybe it is to pray. It could even be to let go and let God. In John 16, verse 33, it says, I've told you all these so that you may have a peace in me. Here on earth, you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart because I have overcome the world. As we boldly move and identify that step that we need to take, our faith will grow and become stronger. Our ability to identify the next steps will get faster. And we'll be able to go from a hesitant step in the beginning, where you're not quite sure what will happen, to becoming a full outright sprint. In Romans 5, 3-4, it says, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. The past shows the trajectory of the future. We need to record the steps and what God has already done for us, so that we could boldly look towards the vision of our lives. If we have a list of all the things that we have overcome to this point to get here right now, that list will help us and encourage us. See, my God is a good Father, and He has helped me overcome so much already. And that encourages me that He really is able, no matter what. A tree starts as a seed. We all know that. The tree starts as a seed, but each step of it moves it closer to fulfilling the potential that is inside of it. What is your next step? And the last one is to use what is in your hand. To use what is in your hand. Exodus 4, 2-3, it says, then the Lord asked him, this is God talking to Moses, and He just sent him into Egypt, and Moses isn't feeling like he's up for it, doesn't feel like he's the man for the job. And He says, then the Lord asked him, what is in your hand? A shepherd's staff, Moses replied. Throw it down on the ground, the Lord told him. So Moses threw down the staff, and it turned into a snake. Moses jumped back. Let's ensure that we don't get paralyzed because we think we need more than what we have to reach the vision that God has given us. Moses felt unprepared. How would they believe that he was actually sent from God and not just went by himself? There appeared to be giants in the way. Did he really have what it takes to be successful? But God only asked him, what is in your hand? God showed that He could do the extraordinary with what we call ordinary. So we need to start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, but right now we need to start today. what is in our hand. Take stock of what we have and then use it. In 2 Kings 4, 1-2, it says, one day, a widow of the member of the group of prophets came to Elisha and cried out, my husband who served you is dead, and you know that he feared the Lord. But now a creditor has come, threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves. What can I do to help you? Elisha asked. Tell me, what do you have in your house? Nothing at all except a flask of olive oil, she replied. She knew what was in her hand. She already took stock. And she knew what was in her hand and was obedient and used it. And that obedience turned it into the impossible. If you read on, she gathered a whole bunch of jars, every single jar she could find, asking for jars. And she went on to fill those jars. And the oil kept running and giving enough for her to get out of that situation and more. We might not have everything yet, but we have what we need. And if we walk with God, He will give us what else is needed when it is needed. When we look at what is in our hand, we might have a moment where we say nothing is unique or special. But when we mix that with bold faith and perseverance, it becomes a blessing to us and it becomes a blessing to those around us. So let's get excited because it's time for us to be bold in Jesus' name. Right now, I'm going to ask you to all go into an attitude of prayer. And I'm going to ask the team to come up. But I'm going to put a question inside your mind just for you to think about. And that is, do you have a vision for your life? And is your vision an impossibly bold vision? Are you trusting God for breakthrough? Are you trusting for something that you can't see the end result, but you know that with God you are able? I honestly believe that if you walk with God, you will reach your destination. If you press into God, He will give you what you need when you need it. But maybe you're sitting here today and you don't have that relationship with God. Maybe you're sitting here today and you're hearing about this incredible Father who loves you so much, who turns the impossible to possible for you. And you may know about the Bible, you may know about Christianity, but you've just never met the author. You've never had that encounter. You've never had that experience. You never said, you know what, God, have my life. And today, during this service, something's spoken to you. Something got lit in the inside. And you're going, I want that. If that is you today, I want to give you an invite that will change your world. It will impact you. You will feel love and you'll feel an embrace that maybe you've never felt before. So I'm not going to do anything weird. I'm not going to make you stand. I'm not going to bring you to the front or anything like that. But just as a sign to me to know that you're out there, if today you want that, Can I ask you to be bold? You just raise your hand. You can put it down straight after, but it's just as a sign to me so I know you're out there. And go, you know what? I've tried it on my own. But I'm asking God to take the wheel. I see that hand. I see that hand. I see that hand. I see that hand.